for Q&A time with the relationship expert, America's relationship expert, Dr. Wendy Walsh is here. Woo! Okay, so we got Q&A coming in from Very Cool. Very Cool asks Dr. Wendy Walsh, how does a virgin survive in a class where most of his male classmates already lost theirs?
And
15 years old.
15 years old and probably a boy. Most of his male classmates, right? So I think people need to understand that sexuality does not define masculinity. It doesn't define a man. And about 5% of American men are considered players. That means 3 partners a year for the last 3 years straight. So that's only 5%. The other 95% are this wide range of stuff. And I would say the answer really is to figure out all the other ways to be a man. Women, when they're looking for a mate, they look for intelligence, they look for trustworthiness, they look for ability to make money, sorry, but it's true. Long before they look for looks and sexual experience. And there's a great book I want to recommend to everybody out there. I didn't write it, but it's one of my favorite on young boys and adolescent sexuality called Challenging Casanova by Dr. Andrew Smiler, and it's a great one.
Challenging Casanova. Coming in
I'd like to add something.
Yes,
First,
okay.
Congratulations, Very Cool, on getting the name Very Cool. Because
Right?
a lot of people probably wanted that, and you achieved that dream. Second, speaking as a former 15-year-old boy, the most people who've lost their virginity already are lying.
Yeah.
Because it takes a long time. Yes, maybe the girls your age have lost their virginity, but they lost it to guys who are 18, 17, and first of all, find those 18-year-olds because it's illegal, and second, don't worry about it.
Coming in from James Wallington, what's the secret to having a successful yet temporary long-distance relationship?
The answer is very simple, honesty. You know, there's somebody to match you, no matter who you are. If you just want a long-distance hookup where you get together twice a month and you have sex and it's probably not going to be forever, but you're really into this person, don't lie to them and say it's something else. Sadly, however, you know, we have this dating market of people who want short-term relationships and long-term relationships. Unfortunately, the best mating strategy for guys to obtain a short-term relationship is to pretend to be a long-term relationship guy. So sadly, there's a lot of lying going on. But in today's times, you will find a match if you just stay honest.
Yes, I love that. Coming in from Josh Moore, how can I tactfully ask a guy out if I'm not 100% sure if he's gay? Ooh.
Well, the first thing is to keep yourself safe and get to know him enough to understand if he's a homophobic nut or not. Okay, that's you gotta figure out that. Once you figured out that, then if you're confident about who you are, then just say it and add a little bit of humor. Like, hey, dude, do you play in my sandbox or only ladies get you? What's the deal?
Yeah.
You know, make a little joke about it. If you're close enough, you know, all good relationships start with a friendship. So you're going to start by being friends anyway, and hey, maybe it will just reveal itself by a smile and a wink.
And at the end of the day, if you get rejected by that person, it's flattery. I would hope, you know, if somebody,
well, I've been on it is and it isn't. I mean, here's the thing. We would love to think, Sam, that the whole world is as liberal and progressive as we are.
Right.
Because, okay, here's what everyone needs to know. We're all actually wired to be bisexual. Human beings, depending on their situation, have the ability to be bisexual. There are things like situational gay, like prison, like the nunnery, like all kinds of places, war zones, whatever.
We had a term called gay wasted. You're only gay when you're wasted.
Okay, there you go. So there are situations where people act out they're bisexual, and there are other times where they conform to our culture's idea that you must be in one camp or another. When the truth is, if you look at the Kinsey scale, we all fall in a gray area somewhere in between. So in other words, our behavior may be heterosexual, but maybe our fantasy life is a little more exciting.
I watched every episode of Orange is the New Black, so
there you go.
I'm not
okay, we got to move on.
Having said that, some men who self-identify as heterosexual feel uncomfortable when they get asked out by a gay man because it reminds them that they're bisexual, and they hate that feeling.
Okay, got it. So they may not be.
They get angry as a result.
Okay, so gosh. Okay, so coming in from Facebook from Shane Yu, being an expert on relationships, how have you changed your personal life after seeing so many different viewpoints on relationships? Good question.
That's a really excellent question.
Yeah.
Well, I was a young player chick. I used to make a lot of money when I was young. I was a TV news anchor in Los Angeles, and I went
an extra.
And I was an extra. So I would
remember.
go off air at 11 o'clock at night, hair and makeup ready after my third cappuccino. So I was out at the clubs.
Oh my gosh, Wendy.
That is amazing.
I want to be a fly in the wall.
And I had a great time. I didn't pay attention to my fertility window, and at 35, I sort of took the last man standing, who happened to be a non-smoking, non-drinking, vegetarian architect, and compared to the players I was running with, he looked great. And so we had 2 babies, lived together for 10 years, and then I became a single mother because I forgot to check if he would actually be a good husband. But it was great. But sperm is wonderful. My kids are really healthy and they're gorgeous and they're tall and all that.
So
I'm
sweet,
really
yeah.
grateful for that. So how have I changed? Well, as we go across the lifespan, our needs and relationships change naturally anyway. The 2 times in our life where people really need close relationships are when they're raising small children and when they're getting older and their body's starting to degenerate. You're seeing all these, by the way, I have all these friends in their 50s. There are weddings everywhere. I feel like I'm in my 20s again. I'm going to weddings all the time now because they're all settling down into their next big relationship.
Okay.
So as my question is, right now I'm in a committed relationship with both my children, and as my nest starts to get a little empty, I will think about choosing a caregiving guy more than a guy for the schlong or the sperm or the money or whatever.
Love it. Love, love, love it. Okay, so this one is from also Facebook. Hey, Pop Trigger, I have an anonymous question for Dr. Wendy. I love her on Dr. Drew and her YouTube channel. I'm 23 and my partner is 34. We are thinking about marriage as a long-term goal, but since I'm young, I wonder whether I have enough life experience, to be sure about marriage, though at times I feel 100% sure. What is your professional opinion about tying the knot at a young age? Thanks,
Such a
Wendy. You've
good
been there.
question.
You have been there. Okay.
You want me to answer it first, or what do you
No,
want to say
I want
about
you
that
to
good
answer
question?
it.
Okay. Okay, the magic number is 23, so I want to wait a year for you. So if you get married at 23 or under, you've got like an 80% divorce rate. Yeah, the divorce rate is like, here's what I want everyone to understand about divorce rates. You always hear that 50% divorce rate thrown around. That only applies to marriages over 20 years. So if you've been married 5 years, you have an 85% chance of staying together for life. If you've been married 10 years, you have a 65% chance of staying together for life. But the big one that throws a clink in the whole problem is marrying under the age of 23.
Because they want life experience.
Because
and
you
to go
change
date
so
and
much.
have-
You
Right.
change so much.
And isn't it important to get out there and date other
This is a discussion
people?
to have when you're 24, so wait a year. Now, having said that, I also want to remind people that moving in together is really bad for marriage statistics.
Really?
So cohabitating, couples who cohabitate actually have less chance of marrying that person, and if they do marry, they have a higher divorce rate.
Wow.
Here's why. People cohabitate as a way to audition the relationship for marriage.
Right, that's what I would think.
And they enter it for 2 different reasons. Men actually enter cohabitation usually because they want to save some money, share on living expenses, and they want to have regular sex. Girls enter it because they
That's
think
unfair because you also want a clean house.
That's right. And girls enter it because they think it's a stepping stone to marriage. And so
Yes.
the only
Yes.
time when the cohabitation effect does not screw you up is when you actually have a marriage date on the calendar that's real, that's going to happen, and you move in to save money to plan for the wedding.
Wow. Okay, so that's it for us today with Dr. Wendy Walsh. We will see you all next time on Pop Trigger.